Okay, all right. Anyway, welcome everyone. It's so wonderful to participate in firsts. And this is the International Support Network for Alienated Families, first of a salon series. So 3 years ago, when I was looking for some help because I'm an alienated mom, there wasn't really anything. And, or as Christy would say, I came up empty while I was doing my search. And I received two very good suggestions, one from Amy Baker. When I asked her for a support group, she said, "You start one." I've had about 30 years of experience in community organizing and in working with families, and she thought it was appropriate that I did. And we started with 3 people in a living room in Santa Clarita. And we have been growing since then. The rest is history.
Like a three-legged stool, there are 3 players. There's the alienating parent, there's the child who's being alienated, and then there's a target parent.
Erin asked me to come down because, as she said, I have had an experience with, actually I've had experiences from both sides of being estranged from family. I estranged myself from my father for 8 years or 88, I guess, and 96. And then I also went through an estrangement that I didn't initiate with my younger son for about 1.5 years.
Like in parental alienation, sure, they're hurting their children, they're hurting their ex-spouse, they're also hurting themselves. That's the way addiction always operates, is it hurts everyone. It hurts you and it hurts all the people around you who you care about.
So we've developed this intervention basically that we call love intervention. And I think a lot of people that are challenged with the dynamics of PAS would absolutely say that it seems like their children have been indoctrinated, that they've been brainwashed.
What I want to do is try and give you a bit of a synthesized presentation of what the clients, the alienated parents, their family members can do to help those you're engaging help you better. Because we heard from our opening, each one of these stories is a sad saga with a long history and a lot of detail.
Right. The behaviors of the child. I mean, I tend to use a 4-point system. If I'm hired as an expert on a case, and I'm not a clinician, so I don't interview people or observe them, I say, was there a prior positive relationship between the child and the now rejected parent before the divorce? So if the answer is yes, that's one check in the alienation category. What? I'm doing a review of documents. But forget about how I determine that. This is, okay? The second is there evidence that the favored parent is using the 17 primary parental alienation strategies? If there's yes, then you put that in the alienation as opposed to estrangement category. Is the rejected parent absent abuse or neglect or radical incompetence? If the answer is yes, that parent is absent those things, that's the 3rd check for alienation. And the 4th is the child exhibiting the 8 behavioral manifestations of alienation? If you have yes, 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 there is a good relationship, no, that parent's not abusive or neglectful, the favored parent's doing that alienation thing, and the kids are acting like alienated kids, that's alienation, not estrangement. And that's how you say, no, my kids aren't rejecting me because I did something. My kids are not estranged from me. My kids are alienated. That's the differential. Does that make sense?
I wanted to know them more. I felt connected to them. I felt enlightened by them, and I felt not alone. And I felt there was a community just in sitting in this small room in, what, a minute we each had to share. And I'm very clear that I've been in a battle for 9 years by myself. Friends and family have stood at my side, not being able to really understand me, but wanting to, frustrated to see my pain. And I come to this room and I feel like I'm at home. These are my friends. This is my family. And I was very touched. Just the little bit I heard, we were like sisters. So thank you.
I think if you don't give up and keep trying, go to their sports activities, go to their graduations, they'll appreciate you were there. I remember in the last 730 evaluation, after spending 3+ years of them shunning me, pretending I'm not there, the very first comment that they said in front of the therapist or in front of the evaluator in front of me was, "Where have you been in 3 years?" So they want to see you, even if they tell you they don't. I recommend showing up to everything you can, because deep down they really want to see you. They just can't tell you that. Thank you.
I can't get through my life without this book. I have it highlighted, have it underlined, have pages folded down. And I think I'm losing my mind when I'm all alone, when my children are saying the most vicious, unkind, cruel things to me that are unwarranted. I can flip to many pages I know by heart in here. This is Amy's book, Breaking the Ties That Bind Adult Children of Parental Alienation Syndrome. And interestingly enough, this book is about the evolutionary process where we arrive at a healthy place as best we can with the children that have been maligned against us. However, what it also is it's that whole journey that the parent has to take. It's walking across coals to get there. It's an instructional book on how to behave with your children when you do achieve some form of closure.
I'm Linda Martin. When I first walked in here, I could feel the grief in the room, the heaviness here. And as I was talking with my partner, I realized that, how can I say this? This is generations. We represent the tip of all these generations of families that have had so much pain. But the opportunity here is that we can become aware and we can break the cycle. So it doesn't have to go on and on and on as it has already. So I thank you all for the courage to be here and to become aware and to take responsibility for our own part, which is the only power I have, is over my own life. And like the man said, to take care of yourself and do your part as best you can. Thank you.
So, last year, my sister and I came to this conference. It was the first conference, and we were looking for answers and a whole lot of hope. And at that point, my 2 sons had cut off all contact with me and weren't speaking to me, and I wasn't having any visitations with them. I had gone through a very bitter custody battle, and shortly after my divorce, my ex-husband married a woman who spent the next 14 years of my life trying to destroy me. And because of her really bizarre allegations, I ended up with 10 years of monitored visitations with my children. When my oldest son turned 18, I said to my sons, "You need to make your own decisions now. Here's my phone number and my address. You can call me and come and see me at any time." I had no idea how much control this woman had over my children. No one knew what parental alienation was at that time, so there were very little resources. At one point, the judge looked at me and said, when I had asked for the monitored visitations to end, she looked at me and said, "The kids are used to it this way." The end. So I have to tell you, I went through some very dark days that included several hospitalizations. As many of you, my heart was broken into pieces. During this time, my twin sister, who badly wanted to have contacts with my sons, took it on herself to make contact with my sons, and so her game plan was to play along with the stepmother. She had her believing that she was completely on her side and that I really was the whack job that she said I was. So she actually convinced her to let my sister take my sons, to Michigan to visit my mother for a holiday. Well, 2 years ago, my oldest son went. At that time, he really refused to speak to her about me. He didn't want to talk about it, but he was very close to her, very huggy, very affectionate. He just didn't want to talk about me. Last year, we came to this conference, and we got so much information, so many resources, so much support. So she convinced her to let my oldest son, Alex, go last Easter. So we spent an hour on the phone with Dr. Coleman, like 2 days before they flew out, and Dr. Coleman had advised my sister to let Alex have a few days to just kind of be with the family. Don't jump on him right away. Well, that lasted until about touchdown. And my niece launched in, and it was a huge conversation. So Alex finally got to hear the truth about me. He was surrounded by my 18 cousins, my mom, my brother, my sister, all telling them loving things and what a lie everything had been in his life. So we still have Christopher. I'm still walking the same road that all of you are walking, so I am here to learn more to hopefully bring Christopher back in the fold. But last year, I came to this conference looking for answers. This year, I'm introducing you to Alex, my son. But now the woman of the hour, I want to introduce you to the woman who is the CEO and president of the International Support Network of Alienated Families. She is an alienated mother. She has 3 degrees. She is the most loyal person you will ever meet. She is a warrior in the fight against parental alienation. And she is also my dear friend, Karen Lebow.
Okay. So I want to welcome everyone to this first tribute, a tribute to me, and to actually, it's ISNAF that deserves the tribute. That's the International Support Network for Alienated Families, and all of you who've joined us this evening in this wonderful place.
And then can you explain some of the steps that you had to go through to reunite with your daughter?
Actually, I am very happy to say that recently we reunited. I will tell you, if you can call these steps, unfortunately, I had a stroke. And I realized that I was immortal and I wasn't going to last forever, and that my kids needed to know that part. And from being a very gentle, timid, wimpy kind of a person, afraid that the child was going to leave if I blew too hard, I went and I wrote a very strong and powerful letter to the entire family and the extended family, explaining that I needed to see my children before I was due for some surgery, serious surgery related to the stroke, and that I might have lost my sight. I might not have lived. It was a life-threatening surgery, and I let them know that. And so one of my 3 daughters stepped forward, and she got unstuck, and the brainwashing cleared for a time, and we still work on it, but anyway, it was a joy. I can't tell you, people look at me now and they say, and you're looking at me now, and you can see how really well I am. Well, I think there's something beyond the physical healing, because all the doctors that saw me tell me that it had to do with my daughter returning, that it was that powerful. It affected me physically. It was a source of great healing and great joy, which I still feel.